Hey, g'day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the AskTomTech show. This week we got a question from Walter, and he was asking questions around OneDrive, and this was from a previous video we posted, so I'm going to answer those today for everyone. Thanks, Walter, for your question. Now, you wanted to know a bit more about why I recommend not syncing your OneDrive. That's a pretty common question, and we're sort of seeing it a lot recently, and I think it stems back to what OneDrive actually is. If we look at it in context of a number of different products, and particularly around that Office 365 suite, OneDrive is predominantly your personal storage only. So think of it like a Dropbox or a Google Drive in that instance, where you might want to save a document into there and be able to access that from the machine you're on, your machine at home, or from the cloud or the web, wherever it is. What it isn't designed to do is have multiple people accessing those folders and files all the time. So look, it's great if you want to share a single file out to a person, have them edit that file, change that file, or even folders. And we do that quite a bit in here with some of our content editing. But what we don't do is have a OneDrive folder that we share amongst the entire team. Now, OneDrive, as you know, it's a sync product. So what that means is the files actually are copied from your machine to the cloud, and then copied from the cloud to any other machine that might be connected to that OneDrive system. There's a number of things around that. So mainly it's synchronization of that data takes time and bandwidth. So you've got to have good internet links to have that data downloading and updating across the board. But where it comes in and where it really smashes your productivity is when you've got multiple people accessing folders and files, and they're accessing the same files and folders. And what happens is if someone's editing it on one computer and you're editing that same file on another computer, the system doesn't know that that's actually happening. So when you save it, or your team member saves that file, you end up with what's known as a sharing conflict and a synchronization conflict. So the system doesn't know which one is the actual right document, which is the wrong document, and then you end up creating duplicate documents. And that just becomes an absolute nightmare to manage. So your team member in the other office has saved a file, you have been editing that same file, now you've saved it. Both those files get uploaded into the cloud where they are essentially centrally stored. They don't merge, they can't merge because it doesn't actually know which is the true owner. And that's the biggest reason why we don't do that sync functionality when we're talking multiple teams. We've also seen issues where someone inadvertently deletes a folder because they think it's on their machine, and then that delete command actually then gets synced to everyone else who's got that share. So you end up losing data or missing data. Really, really painful. So how do you get around that? In relation to the Office 365 suite, we recommend using the SharePoint product. Now, what that is, it's a central repository for all your data, but we're not syncing it. You have to be online, on the internet, and connected to get access to it. From a usability perspective, you're still using your Word and Excel and PowerPoint and those sort of applications to open up the files and edit the files. But because that file isn't actually copied down to your local computer, if someone else opens the file, you're immediately notified. It pops up and says, John's trying to access this file. But what is actually really cool in the context of SharePoint and the Office software suite is that if you've got a file open and John in the other office opens that same file, it pops up. You can actually both edit that file at exactly the same time. So you'll be typing and John will be typing, and the letters and the words that John types appear on your screen in a different color, and vice versa. What you're typing will appear on John's screen in a different color. So because it's the same actual file, it's not actually copied anywhere, the SharePoint and the system and the technology behind it is smart enough to be able to manage that and actually be able to provide that level of collaboration. Walter, that is why we recommend not syncing your OneDrive for team environments. We recommend using SharePoint. OneDrive for personal, SharePoint for teams. So I really hope that's answered your question. And if anyone else has got any more questions, give us a shout out and we'll jump on and answer it for you. Have a good one.